episode 130 or 130 or 13-0. I don't know.
No, don't ever do that again.
My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? I know you're a little tired, just got back into town, but at least the weather's nice. We always like to talk about the weather. Just full warning, everyone in my neighborhood has their dogs outside right now, so if you hear dogs barking, there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, my dog just came home after being at somebody's house for the entire weekend, so I don't know what he'll do. He'll probably just stay upstairs and stick to Angela because he missed her, because he doesn't care about if I'm home or not. So.
Yeah, you're just the guy.
Yeah. All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that uploads every Thursday on podcast services around the world. There are some people that listen to this outside of the United States, Canada, or North America, so that's kind of cool. Obviously, we have European listeners, but the data shows some other places too, which is fascinating. And we live stream when we record, so usually Monday night or Tuesday night on twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where you're able to subscribe to us if you choose, either through Twitch Prime or just with your own hard-earned money, if you'd like. Following is free, though, as well as reviewing. Reviewing is free also. So please consider following us on Twitch and all the other socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. All that stuff is linked in the show notes, as well as subscribing to this podcast on the podcast service and leaving a review. Ideally with words would be super appreciated. So with that, we are going to jump into some news right away.
Yeah, so the first bit of news we have is just a simple one. Summer Game Fest has officially announced their date for, I guess, the launch of Summer Game Fest, because Summer Game Fest is supposed to take place over the entire course of the summer, technically. But the official Summer Game Fest date is set for June 9th. So Jeff Keighley is promising a cross-industry showcase with announcements, reveals, and then the Day of the Devs, which is the independent showcase. Like, it's like a music thing. It does a whole thing. No word exactly on like a format. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just similar to what we got the last 2 years, where it's just Keighley on a soundstage, as opposed to having people there with him. Though he did have some people in person during his showcase last year.
Yeah, he's based out of LA, right?
Yes, yeah. So everyone usually just comes out to him.
Terribly hard. Usually almost every major game company, if they're out, I would almost say near AAA, has some form of office or building space in Los Angeles. If you're
even if it's not like full game development, they have at least a business center in that area.
Or they rent something for like 2 days and come see him.
Yeah.
So as well as with the advancements in streaming and technology, like he can just Discord chat with anybody he wants and post it,
which he did,
like we do right now.
Yeah, which he did last year. Though there was a surprising amount of people he did have in person, even if they just came to be like, "We don't have a release date," and then he'd be like, "All right, thank you so much for being on stage," and then he would like kick them out. So we'll see what this thing looks like. So this is basically, I guess, going to be the start of everything, because 3 days after this, Xbox will have theirs. So I'm assuming we will get something from Nintendo or PlayStation probably soon, saying like what they plan to do. Not that it'll be in the same time frame.
We're 30 days out. Like today is 30 days from the kickoff of Summer Game Fest, which sounds crazy to say. But as well as like they're going to have to start making, Sony should hopefully say something, even if Sony's is like June 19th, like they should say something, as well as I would expect Ubisoft to start talking again. They very quietly talked. I got an email from somebody today for The Division. I was like, huh. So there's some stuff coming for The Division, like this for Division 2. I'm sorry, this week. So that could start the ball for Ubisoft to start saying, like, seeing how people perceive the Division news, how people perceive the Division content, and then that might accelerate their like, hey, like we're gonna have a Ubisoft Forward in July or whatever, just to and put some kind of like quick sizzle reel up that people can start picking apart and guessing what it is, because they've got an Avatar game to talk about. So
and that movie is coming out this year, so they're gonna have to line it up if they want to line it up at least. And
then and hopefully they can piggyback on, if this Division 2 thing is even a small morsel of positivity, they can start riding that train for Division Heartland, which I would feel like the summertime or like them saying at the end of their Ubisoft Forward, go play it now for a free to play would be the best way to do it. But we'll see what happens with that. Do you think that Keighley's announcement was he was waiting for somebody like Microsoft to say, okay, here's our date, and then he started building around it?
No, I would imagine Keighley has to work on this way in advance, like a month for his operation to put everything together. I think it helps. I would imagine he already knew he was going to do it like the first week of June, but he was probably like, okay, Xbox puts their date down and it's either I'm going to go before them or after them. And it was pretty much like all that was tied up. Cause you'd imagine like, EA's not doing something this year, so they're probably going to work with Keighley or Microsoft to fit into there. Activision can't really do anything on the Microsoft press conference this year, you would imagine, so they're probably going to work through Keighley.
Yeah. Especially with that deal not even going through, they can't even do a quick Game Pass sizzle reel.
Yeah, they kind of have to stay completely autonomous from all that. So I'm sure Keighley was just trying to, he knew he was going to go in the first or second week of June, because that's just when you do this thing. So it was just a matter of like, is he going to go June 9th or June 15th? And he decided to go June 9th. Right. Because Summer Game Fest the last 2 years has piggybacked kind of off all the other events. Like they put everything on their calendar to help everyone, but it makes it seem like a much bigger thing than it actually is. By building the calendar that everyone uses for
and then like the super fascinating part is like delays, for certain stuff that I care about too, like, and even things that you may or may not care about, but delays have kind of, in COVID and the pandemic, have kind of put the schedule, like the video game schedule, like kind of on tilt. Like we already know about Call of Duty, and so like that used to be kind of something that was typically kind of the kickoff to E3-ish stuff, was kind of like the Call of Duty announcement when near the end of May. For me personally, like September was always the Destiny time. So like them talking in June about what was coming in September was always a pretty big deal, tying back to the Activision tie even, farther. But now that they've pushed that initially like a couple years ago to November, and then Witch Queen to February, like we're not getting like a huge like new story reveal for September for Destiny. And then with like the companies also doing their own thing, like we were just talking about, like Ubisoft Forward, that once Ubisoft comes out and says they're doing something, then everybody's like, oh, well, okay, well, we know that Ubisoft won't be at the Microsoft event. We know that Ubisoft won't be at the Keighley event, or whatever. And you start to kind of like divide and conquer like what you may or may not see from some of the bigger developers. And like to your point, like so now we have like Microsoft and Bethesda over there, EA not doing anything. So like there'll be, to your point, there'll probably be something tied to Microsoft because of EA playing Game Pass together. Yeah. And then whatever Ubisoft is doing, it starts to kind of focus on, like what you've called before, like AA games. Like Keighley will be the AA game. Yeah, pusher.
And he'll pull like at least one or two AAA games.
Yeah,
for sure. But most of it is going to be indie and AA stuff, and that's usually the stuff that you want to spotlight during a like E3 like event, because I mean that's where we would discover like the next big.
We don't need to see hands on with the next Call of Duty, like we know what it is.
Yeah,
I would love personally, because it didn't vibe with me. I would love to see another Darksiders entry. For a couple years out, so I would love to see something like that. That's the kind of game that Keighley gets to highlight and show off.
Yeah, and I think Embracer did say they are holding their own like event, or at least through the THQ Nordic brand. But I don't think that has a date yet. But like I would imagine, no one's really going to be tuning into an Embracer event, so their big stuff will probably end up at a Keighley or a Microsoft or a PlayStation event, just because. No one's really gonna like. Not many people still know.
They'll let Keighley reveal 2 or 3 of the things,
and then they get
say,
gameplay.
Come back to the Embracer event to see more.
Yeah,
versus
you
like,
have
hey,
to
we're
do
doing
that.
It.
Yeah, you have to do that to pull people in, just because Embracer isn't a household name, despite being like a $9 billion.
Well,
company.
who did it for Deep Silver? What's the company that owns Coach Media?
That's Embracer now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Embracer owns them. But that's just but that's the crazy thing. Like,
but that was bad. That was a bad
it was
event.
terrible. Yeah,
yeah.
So like they'll probably put their big ones on Keighley. And to your point, like EA like this week announced that they're back in the Lord of the Rings business doing a mobile game, which would probably be something that they would have announced at the State of Play. And then the Dead Space remake is going to get a live stream this week. So that's two things that, Keighley or Microsoft won't have.
And they've already said that it's not coming this year. So.
Yeah, so it's even less a reason for it to be included there. Yeah. And then something you're going to be interested in, Gotham Knights is getting a live stream tomorrow. That's going to reveal 2 characters' gameplay videos. So like we're going to see that for the next month of this stuff. You can just check off your list of like, oh, this won't be there, this won't be here. And then we'll be able to like kind of get an idea of like, oh, there might be surprises this year, as opposed to like, here's everything that was delayed the last 2 years finally coming out.
But even like, even to your point, like Outriders already came out and talked about their expansion. Like, like that's already happened like last week. So like there's a lot of things that are just getting, check, scratch off that people are hoping for. And it doesn't minimize anything, but it also, if I'm a, like to your point, like you always call them, if I'm a AA developer, I'm going to Key like, hey man, like I know you got some space, like let's talk.
Yeah, you have some space, and
I got some stuff to fill the space.
Yeah, and like we'll probably get Modern Warfare 2. Like I don't know if like the Call of Duty game gets its own event anymore because of the current state of Activision. So they'll probably be the anchor for Keighley potentially, as like their big AAA game, but Keighley likes to run these super long shows, so he's going to have like probably 3 to 4 hours to fill, and it can't just be games that were already announced that we're getting gameplay. Especially,
and then he doesn't have another, unless we don't know about it. He doesn't have another Elden Ring this year to kind of draw the attention right away.
So. He always has Kojima in his back pocket, and Kojima
I know,
will reveal anything at any point, even if it's not near release.
He'll show up on stage wearing PlayStation socks with a Metal Gear shirt, and then say something,
and then put on an Xbox hat, and then he'll just be like, "What was that? What did it mean?" And he'll have a Switch in his pocket. Like it's just the whole thing. And then he'll put apology tweet. Okay, so that's coming. It's kind of good to start seeing everything formulate and build up, and then now we have some release dates. So if me and Dave wanted to request a day off and then do a stream during the thing, we could probably make that happen potentially.
Yeah, I'd have to ask my boss. Oh wait,
you are your boss. All right, the next bit of news. So this one is an ongoing situation. So Xbox about 4 days ago, the network went down, like online play went down, it happens. Shit happens. PlayStation was down, I think like a month ago. But the big thing with this one is it was down on and off for like 4 days. It currently is mostly back online.
Sounds like you're saying it's intermittent. Right?
Yeah, I was definitely having issues Sunday. But the main thing that's the problem with this is it got so bad with their network being down that one, Game Pass wasn't working. Like games you downloaded weren't working because it couldn't authenticate. But even digital games that you actually owned weren't accessible. Yeah. And some people were just flat out locked onto their account. So even some disc games that, connect to the internet.
Require an internet, yeah.
Yeah, just to authenticate, were having issues. So Microsoft did release a statement today saying most things are up. But they'll have a full resolution in the coming days. So this sounds like this was a huge thing. I mean, we've seen this before, but Xbox's DRM is so tied into an online connection. PlayStation has this too, but it's not as aggressive as Xbox's. So if anything, maybe this will get Xbox to find a solution to authenticate games at least.
I think you took it off, but it's still something we should talk about, or you moved it. I don't see it. But do you think this has anything to do with their Fortnite announcement?
No, nothing at all. They wouldn't
No. But do you think that the network got hit hard?
No, I don't think. I don't think it would have hurt them that bad. Because it all started. I think that I have a feeling in a couple days we'll probably get a news report being so our network was attacked, but they just didn't want to say it because they're trying to decipher through.
Well, because I was curious. I was listening to a little bit of stuff before I went out of town with Microsoft announcing that they're releasing xCloud publicly. You don't have to have a Game Pass subscription to use xCloud anymore for Fortnite. So. Yeah. And apparently, some people were talking about some of the data, so this is how they're getting it on iOS. So Fortnite is on iOS now, again, on Apple stuff, through the xCloud. And I didn't realize, but like I think like 14 million people at one point in time were playing Fortnite on iOS.
Yeah.
So even if you get a small fraction of that, if they got like 1.5 million people hitting their server this week and making new accounts, it could have caused a little bit of an issue.
It probably, if it had anything to do with it, I could imagine it didn't help the network issues that they were already having. And I guess
to your point, if they were already having issues, then you just shut that down. You just say, hey, like xCloud will not work right now. Like new xCloud accounts will not work, or xCloud accounts created in the last 7 days won't work. Similar to how companies with like Final Fantasy's done it. I even think Destiny's done it, where they're like, okay, look, paid members get in first.
Well, it's one of those things where I know this isn't how this works. So, either my coworker that listens to this podcast or Palmer will correct me in Discord. There's got to be a way, so video game, you weren't able to play online for like a day or two, and then you weren't able to authenticate games. They need to put those on separate racks. They need to put those on separate servers to where if one goes down, the other doesn't go down. And I know typically it doesn't happen like that because Xbox Live has been down before and, you can still play your games. But they
you can still play NBA 2K22 offline through Game Pass. Just downloaded to your console.
Yeah, though it does need to authenticate. So like if I'm not connected to the internet with a Game Pass game, it's just like, what are you doing?
But yeah, like to your point, if Xbox Live or Xbox Network is down, like yes, I understand I can't play Madden online with my friend, but your server should, like my authentication, which should only I personally think should be like once every like 72 hours. Should only have to go through a small server pipe that lets you connect. Like that just pings it once.
Yeah. Sorry, Sarah in the chat just cracked me up. Good thing Final Fantasy 14 is not on Xbox. But there has to be a way for them to like not connect them because I feel like Live has been down enough that it hasn't caused issues with them being able to authenticate your ownership of the game. So they must have had a really big issue this week to cause everything to go down. Though it's hard to, it seems like as they got the online back, that's when people were starting to have issues with authenticating games. And I know up until Sunday, I was having issues where I was trying to launch MLB The Show, and it would go to the splash screen, and then it would just, fade
I guess,
to black.
And I don't know how this works, but maybe at a certain point in time, like after it tries to ping your connection a couple times and it can't, put up a QR code on the screen that says, take a picture of me to authenticate, or something like you do when you sign into a new device to access HBO Max, where you go to hbo.com/activate, and you type in the code that the TV gives you.
And I don't know if you've ever dicked around with PlayStation Plus stuff, but when you know when you check options on a game, you'll give you the game when you bought it, and then it has an expiration date, and it's usually when your PlayStation Plus expires.
Right.
I would imagine they would have had something on there to where at least if the Xbox can tell what time it is, it would be able to be like, oh, your Game Pass subscription doesn't expire for a month, so play on. But it couldn't even do that. So
I could see if my Game Pass subscription expired May 7th, and I was trying to play the 8th, and I have auto renew set up, but it doesn't. The server hasn't been pinged that I auto renewed.
And this was just a flat out no, we can't do shit. So you can't play anything right now. So hopefully this experience for Xbox will be a learning one, and then they'll know how to fix and change this.
This is kind of what sucked about having a very rampant PlayStation community. There was no talk about this on our Discord.
Oh yeah, no one in our community knew this was happening at all. And it only affected me when I was the 2 or 3 times I tried to play MLB The Show the last 4 days.
I think I saw I get tweet notifications for Bungie help when weird things happen. So I think I saw something about Microsoft's having connection issues. I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. I just Destiny's having a hard time connecting to Microsoft. It happens periodically.
I mean, PSN was down 4 weeks ago for 6 hours. We're just so used to this happening. So if you weren't directly trying to play multiple times, you'd just be oh, it's down, whatever. You move on. Yeah. But this was Friday, it's down. Saturday, it's down. Sunday, it's up, but you can't play your games. And it's just what's happening? So hopefully they figure that shit out, especially because of this next story is going to add even more traffic to them. According to Venture Beat, Microsoft is finally nailing down plans to release their Fire Stick equivalent for Xbox Game Pass Cloud, and they are also in the middle of making an app for Samsung TVs to access Game Pass Cloud on Samsung TVs. I put this on here because this is the thing that Dave has been asking and begging for a while. So the current thing is they don't know if it's going to be like a Fire Stick thing or a little Roku box, but either way, it's a thing with an HDMI output that'll connect to the internet for you.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, I would be into this, even though cloud gaming is not how I want to interact with things. It's still like if it's built into a TV, like, and I have a Samsung TV, I would. Yeah. I'm not going to download this. I'm going to download it and keep it around.
I was just at a hotel for a weekend, and I would love to just take a hockey puck and throw it in my backpack and plug it into an HDMI port. And granted, the hotel I stayed at, internet was hot garbage, but like the possibility of being able to play something, or if this can have somehow like a micro SD card that goes into it and allows you to download a couple games.
No, I mean that wouldn't work because you need the hardware. But if you have a Game Pass
subscription, like
no, but you need the hardware to play the games, and this is just going to connect you to the internet. So that they wouldn't be able to do that, but like it sounds like they're going to just build like their Fire Stick equivalent, which is going to be like, hey, here's a Netflix app, here's a Hulu app, so it's just going to be a whole little media center thing.
But yeah, this news and the Fortnite news, if you don't already know, Microsoft doesn't care about selling a box.
No, yeah, this is definitely them adamantly being like, we'll sell you a controller, but that's as far as they're going to go.
And that controller will come with that new TV over there.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Like, are they going to do like the Stadia thing where there's going to be like the Founders box, which is like, here's an Xbox controller and here's a stick? Or are they just going to be like, you know what? There's probably an Xbox controller somewhere in your house just because they've been so good at like keeping stuff
This thing can't cost more than $50 though.
How much does a Xbox controller currently go for?
An Xbox controller is $60, but I'm saying this device.
Oh, by itself, yeah.
This puck, this HDMI stick, whatever you want to call it, it can't cost more than $50. It can't. I think you can get a 4K Roku for like $59. Granted, you can't play games, but
a Chromecast goes for like $35. So like, there's definitely room for them to like move around in this, and do that, and then just to have it a bundle.
Chromecast has gotten a little bit better, but for a long time, Chromecast was just a mirroring device.
Yeah. But when they expanded with like the 4K,
they've got a
Chromecast,
UI now.
Yeah.
So.
Or it at least still like relies on your phone, but it at least can do a UI
versus a Roku, which is Roku or a Fire Stick, which is its own independent interface system.
Yeah, it's its own like standalone thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where they kind of go on that. Are they going to go with like a Chromecast solution, or are they just going to go with like here's the Roku box, and hopefully it's shaped like an X or something stupid, and they could just have fun with that.
Yeah, like a much smaller mini fridge.
Yes, much smaller mini fridge that can like you can put like Shopkins like items in there. Would be fantastic.
You open the door and put your SD card in there and close the door. The SD card probably can't hold anything, but it's still there.
You can put your family photos on the SD card to have the background change. So yeah, this will probably be huge. I'm assuming the Samsung stuff will probably get held back until CES next year. But if they can release a Game Pass cloud box or whatever they're going to call it for this holiday, that would probably do really well for them.
Like you put something on the shelf that's like I just talked about, that's $100 and it has a year Game Pass in it or something like that. Like it's just a controller. I don't know if you could do this, but a controller, a year Game Pass, 3 months, 6 months of Game Pass, and this device, $100.
Well, the least expensive thing for them would be that year subscription, so I can totally imagine whatever box they come out, it's going to come with like 6 months to a year included, as opposed to like a month trial. Like they want to get you in that ecosystem. Bundle
it, like market it around Fortnite with Game Pass. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's going to be the thing we were talking about, I think last week, where this next like year is going to be super important for Microsoft because of Starfield. Imagine if they can get this box out before Starfield and they're like, play Starfield for $30 anywhere.
Yep.
That's going to be huge, but then it's going to be a matter of like lining up games to follow Starfield, because then if they could be like, you buy this box, and then on the box it's like Starfield's out in November, this is out in January, this is out in March. Like, they could easily just like kill the market, and NPD is gonna have to track this thing, or it's gonna go the way of the Stadia, and then they'll just quietly just forget about it.
I just don't. I don't know. I see huge potential just because I see what they're trying to accomplish with Game Pass, and what they're, in the step forward that they've been taking of like xCloud, of starting to roll xCloud out as a public platform, and whether cloud gaming is ready or not ready. Like, there's going to be some stuff that runs really well on there, and there's going to be some stuff that doesn't. Do I think that with the Activision purchase or whatever, that if it does or doesn't go through, do I think that next year's Call of Duty is going to be playable 100% on a cloud stick? No.
Yeah.
But I think it's a huge easy win, and to break the barrier of entry of like, hey, I'm really, this is $50. I got this for 6 months. I upped it again for a year. I'm really enjoying playing these games. There's some really cool games on here. I really enjoy this game, but I see that it's struggling. Okay, I like playing video games again, or I like playing video games, period, because I have not been playing them before, or I have not been playing them for a while, because, okay, now I'm ready to go buy an S.
Because all it needs to tell you is, like, when you load up a game, like, playable in 4K with a Series X.
Right.
Because it's only going to give you like a 1080p, thing. So that would be a great way to advertise the box. But also, to your point, which I feel like is a thing I constantly say on the show, to your point, this could be make or break for Game Pass. If this thing flops, I can totally see Microsoft being like, that was cute that we were trying that, but let's just cut it. And then the industry is going to...
But if this becomes the thing to buy in November, December for the tech gift, like, that's huge.
I mean, dumbasses like me and you are going to buy it, and we both have Series X's.
Yeah, but I want to take it with me to places.
No, I know. But, like, we'll have even, like, less reason to buy one, and we're still going to be like, day one, I want one.
Yeah.
And then if it comes with a special controller.
It's for science. It's for science.
For podcast. Yeah. Any video game purchase, we just tell each other, for podcast. Yeah.
No, and like Josh, just not that Josh, but like a Josh that I know, the latency for FPS is too much in his opinion. The latency doesn't seem to go away for simpler games, but it just matters less when you get used to it. Agreed. And I don't know if the app, that whatever they decide to put in this stick can help with that, because we've seen, and I'm not comparing something, but like Netflix can make something in 4K right now. Disney Plus is doing the Dolby Digital, like high end, I can't think of all the terms, but like maxed
they're doing
out,
like the IMAX.
The IMAX,
screen,
that's what it is. Yeah, and they're doing that through an app without a device plugging. Like, you don't have to, like, Disney Plus just works through the hardware of your TV.
Yeah, our shitty TCLs get the
or
Dolby Digital IMAX
through your Roku stick. Like, if this device that they're making is 80% for xCloud and 20% for Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max, like, they might be able to, if this is the size, I don't even know, of an Alexa, like, there could be some power in that thing.
Yeah, but in terms of the latency, though, like, there's not much they're going to be able to do now other than hope the internet infrastructure gets better. But the thing is, there's such a wide, this is when people say we advertise for Game Pass, but there's such a wide range of games on Game Pass that, like, yes, the Call of Duty games will not be the best experience on Game Pass, but the single player probably do okay. Playing a single player Call of Duty on Game Pass over online. Multiplayer, hell no, you don't want to do it that way, but it'll be fine single player campaign. And if you're going to tell, like, those people that only buy the game and might be interested in just a single player game, like, oh, you have to buy the new console and the whole thing, or you buy the stick for $30-$40 and you'll be able to get the story.
They've already shown that people, like, that the average consumer does not care about 4K 1080p 60 frames.
Yeah.
Because of the success of the S. Like, we're already seeing that. We're seeing that a huge majority of people care about having the newest, latest, and greatest thing. But we're seeing that a bigger majority are I just want the entry-level stuff.
Yeah, and especially when, like, there's going to be a certain, like, demographic that are just going to want to play Minecraft on this thing. And it'll be fine.
Owen.
Yeah, and it'll be fine. Yes, they can play Minecraft on phones and tablets, but as soon as they find out Minecraft is just there on the TV, they're going to just take it and play it. So like, yeah, no one's going to want to play like a competitive first person shooter on this thing, but a third person shooter will be fine. Any single player thing is decent. Like there's enough games on there that you'll be fine. You're not going to want to play MLB The Show on this potentially, just because the latency might just be enough that'll mess you up. But like if you wanted to play 2K, you're probably you'll have a better time. So there's definitely options for stuff on Game Pass that this could go well, or it could go horribly wrong if it doesn't succeed, and then Microsoft pulls Phil Spencer's wallet from him. All right, this is basically just a follow-up to a story, again, I think we did last week or 2 weeks ago, but Ubisoft is possibly going private. So reports are saying the Guillermo family are currently looking to partner up with private equity firms to gain full control over Ubisoft and then take it private. This comes a few weeks after the news that some private equity firms were looking into acquiring a company, and the Guillermo family basically were like, we will do anything we can to prevent that from happening by getting in bed with the equity firms to then take the company private. So like currently that family owns about 16% of the company, with Yves being the current CEO. So this isn't the first time Ubisoft has like held off an acquisition. They had the Vivendi one a couple years ago, or that's probably like 10 years ago now. So this looks like this is another one where, since they're a publicly traded company, there are, there's only so much they can do to prevent the company from being taken over. So they are just going to go out and just try and take full ownership, especially if another company acquires them. Based on how the Guillermo family has been running this, they're probably would be ousted shortly after.
They're gonna have a hard time getting 84% of their company.
Yeah. They.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, is they're just gonna have to. That's why they're working with, these equity firms to just try and get a little bit. But they're gonna also have to get one of these companies to be like, give us your money and leave us alone. That is gonna be a tricky.
Especially with the track record the last couple of years of like that person going, wait, what am I investing in? Like, what are your plans? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. The only thing they have in their back pocket is the family has a 20-something% vote against any other acquisitions potentially. So they can definitely make it difficult for another company to acquire them, but they can't fully stop it either. So it sounds like if they wanted to fight it, they could probably like crank up the price or like make sure they get paid pretty sweet off of that, which could be enough to prevent people from getting it. But Dave, you said you finally got an email about an Ubisoft game. So do you think this news makes it more or less likely that we're getting a Ubisoft Forward this summer?
Well, I mean, honestly, more. I mean, he's going to want to make himself they're going to want to make themselves desirable to an investor or a purchaser.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time. I mean, he probably the Guillermo family probably wants to make themselves desirable to an investor. The other 84% of the people want to make themselves viable to a buyer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you think we talked about this, but like, what do you think Ubisoft cost? It's between Bethesda and Activision, right? They live in there. Do you think they would be worth more than Bethesda or less than Bethesda?
I guess it would probably take a ton more research on my end. I'd be really curious to what they truly outright own. Like what IPs they truly outright own. I mean,
I can pull this up, but off just not knowing that info, what do you feel like gut instinct, more or less than Bethesda? They're not Activision.
More than Bethesda.
More than Bethesda.
Because of the international aspect, the number of studios, and the publishing arm.
Yeah, I think the number of studios is probably key to that, just because there's so many. But I would also wonder if they would have to shed some of those studios before they get acquired, just because it's so big.
But what? Okay, you said Ubisoft Montreal and tell everybody you work for Ubisoft Toronto now. Your office is based out of Montreal.
I'm talking about like I think they have like 3 studios in India, like a couple studios in the Philippines, like those studios. Like I think the Canadian studios are probably the safest in terms of like, if you're buying Ubisoft, you want the Canadian studios, but all their other studios.
Yeah,
is what
whether you like it or hate it, like you want the Far Cry studios. Like,
no, yeah. You want? I just don't know where Massive is. I feel like they're a Canadian studio, if I'm not mistaken.
Massive is in
Or Carolina,
Switzerland.
Oh, okay. I'm way off on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want Massive?
Red Storm's in North Carolina. Red Storm's been working with Massive a lot.
Okay,
for Division.
that's where I got confused.
That's where that comes from. But I feel like Massive is in Switzerland, or it's over there. Mm-hmm. I know for sure it's over there because their community managers. When I was heavily into Division, paying attention to the community managers, they've got some thick accents.
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys I've had the privilege of interviewing and doing some work with, as well. Their Ghost Recon studios, I feel like, are overseas also.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. I mean, they have French studios as well, so like they're a very international company. I just wonder if all their little like expansions that they've been doing, in Asia.
They have a ton. To your point, they have a ton of auxiliary studios. A ton.
Yeah. Which is wonder if that would be something that would put off like a Microsoft or Sony of just like we can't deal with all this stuff. If we'll have to see them start to shed stuff.
We can't deal with 6 studios that know how to make it the same open world map.
That are also in different countries with different rules and different regulations that they would need to follow. I would say Ubisoft is probably worth more than Bethesda.
But I also my point was like some of their stuff's like Tom Clancy franchise, like the Tom Clancy name that they have, it turns into Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Tom Clancy's The Division. How much of that is tied to like, and I don't know the proper way to word this, but if, as an example, if Sony buys Ubisoft, is the Tom Clancy contract tied to as long as Ubisoft remains an independent entity?
Ubisoft outright bought the Tom Clancy name, so they own that name.
Okay. Right.
So they should be safe.
I'm just kind of using that as an example, though.
Will it give them wiggle room, the Tom Clancy people, to be like, well, we sold this to Ubisoft, not Sony? That would be an interesting idea because that is possible. Like, if you're the Tom Clancy family or estate, you're just like, technically, if we fight this in court, we could. Like,
and the reason why I also say that it makes them more financially viable than Bethesda is for Ubisoft is again the possibility of the television and the other cross media stuff that they're doing already.
Yeah,
Bethesda hasn't done that yet. It's also what we heard of like why the price for Bungie was higher, even though I still think it was low. Was higher because of the potential for post or outside of video game content, whether it's movies or comics or any of that stuff. There's like we still supposedly have a Division movie coming out, like their agreement with the Avatar, which with Avatar franchise, which I would assume would probably be, if I had to guess, is more than one game. I would think Ubisoft wouldn't do a one and done. Like they wouldn't sign a contract for a one and done. Like that's not their style at all. They want franchises. They want reoccurring content. I guess even calling it one game is hard. Like I don't know anything about the Avatar game, but there would be post campaign content for it or a sequel.
Probably a sequel, just because I think it is just a straight up single player game. But there's also Avatar. There's like the next 10 years. There's like 4 more Avatar movies coming out. So you imagine Ubisoft's like, we want a game every time a movie's coming out. And then they also have a partnership with Nintendo. Like they've been making the Rabbids games, which has been very successful. So they have partnerships with like every person or every like
and
company.
They would that Nintendo would probably get out if Sony bought them.
If Sony or Microsoft bought them, they'd be completely done. Or if anything, those companies might be like, do you want to buy the studio that made this game? And Nintendo would be like, yes, because we work with them, and Nintendo only acquires companies that they've worked with closely. They have almost 50 studios, by the way. I looked at it and I'm just like, oh my God, they have so many studios. I just wonder if everyone was hoping like a Sony or Microsoft would do it, but I almost think they're too big for those companies right now.
How much is Rider Republic worth? How much is Steep worth? Like how much is, like some of these but at the same time, like how much more is Just Dance worth than we really understand?
Oh yeah, I would probably put like Assassin's Creed's 1 and Just Dance is probably 2.
Just Dance is in the top 3.
Yeah,
it's in the top 3 for sure.
Because and it might sound crazy to some people listening, but the amount of money they have to put into Just Dance is very low for the amount that they're getting out of it, as opposed to Assassin's Creed, where if you told me Assassin's Creed just broke even, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense because of how massive those games are.
And the amount of marketing that they do for Just Dance is it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing still charted years later on the Wii.
Yeah, because there were still enough people on the Wii buying it. I think they were still making it until like 2015.
But like they also have that contract with like Rocksmith. Like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of red tape with Ubisoft.
And a lot of Ubisoft stuff seems almost like vanity projects where they're like, yeah, we're going to put this out. It's going to flop, but then we're going to spend the next 4 years just like tweaking it and then making it popular to where it's almost just like, is that fundamentally a good idea, like financially?
Well, so let me, because you said Assassin's Creed's at the top, like in terms. So where's Rainbow Six?
Rainbow Six, I would say, is like 2-3 with like Just Dance. So like I'd feel like depending on what songs are out that year,
right?
Especially
that esport aspect of it is just ridiculous, and that's like yeah, this is 100% worth more than Bethesda, 100%, if not almost double.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at like a $20 billion acquisition.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be anywhere near Activision, but it would be definitely
no, because it's not COD.
Yeah, exactly. COD or like the Candy Crush, stuff. The stuff we also don't think about that bring in a ton of money.
You start laying the Rainbow Six franchise on top of the Just Dance franchise, on top of Assassin's Creed, like you're getting up there.
Yeah,
fast.
Yeah, or basically those three probably equate. Like whether
you love it or hate it, Far Cry every year when Far Cry comes out, it's a top 5 to top 10 selling game. NPD wise,
yeah, like Far Cry would be there. Depending on how they treat the Tom Clancy stuff, do you treat anything with Tom Clancy as a single entity, or do you just keep them all separated? Because if you put them all in one entity, then it's number one.
It's there, yeah.
Because there's just so much. All right, we'll go on to other acquisition news. This is a thing that we've been talking about a while, and it sounds like it might actually be happening. But Warner Brothers Discovery are interested in selling their studios, but keeping the IP. So according to Amran Khan, I know, Dave, I know. The heads of Warner Brothers Discovery, who've been in charge now for like a month, it sounds like they want out of the gaming division, but they want to keep the licenses. So they're potentially taking offers for the studios.
They want their cake and eat it.
Yes, they basically see what Disney's doing. And they're like, we want to do that too. And you can't really blame them. They have DC. They have Batman.
I get it. But your studios ain't worth that much, homie, without the IPs.
No, and so it looks like what they're doing is they're basically going to companies and being like, okay, you want Rocksteady? We'll give you Rocksteady, and then you will get an exclusive license to Batman along with them. But who knows how that would even work? Is it a 10-year license? Is it a specific amount of game license? What company's willing to do that if it's just like you get 3 games of Batman and then we're taking it to Ubisoft? Then do you want Rocksteady at that point? But despite this...
If you want to do this and you want to copy what Disney did, then you need to close your gaming division and go radio silent for like 5 or 7 years.
But the only thing is they're really strapped for cash. I think they have like a 40,
I know.
Yeah, they have a 43.
Like I'm just saying, this won't work. Because
well, yeah, the problem
what is Rocksteady worth without Batman? Like, what are they worth?
I think they less than an Insomniac, but not that off.
But so that means more than any of the 3 studios that Square just sold?
We have to put the Square thing in a separate box. Square just wanted to fuck around with
but not if I'm PlayStation, Xbox, EA, or NetEase. I'm gonna go, hey, Crystal Dynamics just sold for $100 million. With the IP.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sure
you want to sell me Rocksteady without the IP? Fuck off.
No, and this is where Warner Brothers is going to come into to where I would imagine whatever deal that they would strike of like, here's Rocksteady, and then here's
Netherrealm without Mortal Kombat? Nothing.
No, but like the deal would have to be you can have Rocksteady and you can have the game rights to Batman for the next 10 years. It would have to be like a really long...
Okay, $50 million for Rocksteady then.
We would have to check at the how big Rocksteady is. But
I'm just saying, like after they make those 3 games, I don't know what they're doing.
Well, no, and this is the problem is I feel like before last week, before Square sold off 3 studios for like nothing, we would be having a completely different discussion. We would probably be
100%.
like, oh, Rocksteady $300 to $400 million with a 10-year Batman IP license.
But what, in your opinion, what's a more valuable video game IP? Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat, Batman Arkham.
Probably Mortal Kombat or Batman over Tomb Raider.
Okay. All right, so more valuable. So then, okay. So now, the studio that makes Batman, you can purchase, but you don't get Batman.
And that's why they're trying to do the thing where they're doing the thing where we'll give you the license. We'll work with you on the licensing stuff. I think I wouldn't be surprised, though, if what we're talking about is literally them just being like, you will get the exclusive gaming license because we're not going to give up the movie license rights or the merchandise rights, but here is the game license stuff. So it might end up being like two separate contracts of like, here's a studio and then here is the exclusive gaming rights. Kind of how like Sony Pictures gave out the gaming license to Activision for all those years, but only the gaming license. It would have to be that because Netherrealm without like Mortal Kombat?
like Curry's asking in chat, what if Rocksteady makes an original IP, or what if Netherrealm makes an original IP? If Netherrealm makes a different fighting game, all you're going to hear is it's not Mortal Kombat.
But what
that's
if
all you'll hear?
What if that fighting game gets the Marvel license and they can finally make their Marvel fighting game? Or what if they give them Tekken? Or
and then if but I still feel like with the way that Rocksteady makes their games currently, like I don't know, it's hard to answer that question because new IPs are so risky. And then if I'm buying a studio, if I'm a huge company, I'm not buying a studio to make a new IP. I'll just make a studio to make a new IP.
I think you might be able to justify that with Netherrealm more than you could justify that with like a Rocksteady or an Avalanche.
Because Netherrealm has nailed the fighting genre.
Yeah, they did Injustice, they did, Mortal Kombat, they did
agree.
dabble in other stuff. So I think Netherrealm is an easier pitch to where like you can probably
right now we don't know if Rocksteady can make a non-Batman game.
Exactly. So like I think like if you would tell me like Netherrealm sold for $300 million to like a Sony without the Mortal Kombat IP, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Sony bought Evo. They probably would love to have a fighting game studio because that's the one genre that they don't have. Period.
Like from an esports standpoint, they can make whatever characters they want as long as it's balanced. Like
Netherrealm's PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
But I mean, like Cole, like as an example, Cole could fight Drake in an upright Street Fighter style, Mortal Kombat style fighting game, and as long as it's fair and balanced and not gimmicky, the fighting game community will love it.
Yeah, and also Sony will market and make it the game of Evo, regardless of what IP it's attached to, because they own Evo.
That'd be like if 2K lost the NBA license, but the NCAA came to them and said, "Hey, we're going to give you the college license." They're like, "Okay," like they know how to make a basketball game.
Yeah, and they'll get people in just on that fact. So I think NetherRealm is an easier like sell without the IP than Rocksteady. And like Avalanche, there was like reports that Avalanche will go with the Harry Potter thing. Avalanche is only making one Harry Potter game and it's not out yet. So I don't know if anyone goes for that deal, they're going for it for the Harry Potter license and not necessarily Avalanche. Avalanche just happened to came with it.
So what you're saying though is like if somebody buys like it's a bundled deal, like, oh, you want to buy Avalanche, it's $200 million and you get a 10-year video game IP of Harry Potter. You can do whatever you want, you just get a 10-year Harry Potter IP video game. And then if you buy Rocksteady, you get a 10-year Batman IP.
Or a specific game one. If it's Rocksteady's case, you probably want a specific game one because it takes them 10 years to put out a damn game. Yeah. So Rocksteady...
You can continue the Arkham franchise.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if you could abuse that because Rocksteady takes so long of just like, okay, Rocksteady can put out 3 Batman games. And you're like, cool, that's the next 30 years lined up. Perfect. Like, we got it. So even though that has, we talked about all the caveats, currently... according to this report, PlayStation, Xbox, Electronic Arts, NetEase, Take-Two, Tencent, and even PUBG Corp are really interested in these studios that are available, potentially under this current license. And I just thought of it right now, like, I wonder if it means like, okay, you bought Rocksteady and you got the Batman license
and Suicide Squad.
No, yeah, but like, does that mean that license isn't tied to Rocksteady? It's tied to that publisher. So then could, Sony be like, cool, Naughty Dog's doing a Batman game.
Yeah.
Rocksteady's doing a Suicide Squad 2. Like,
I don't know if your contract can say that it's, like if I'm Sony and I buy Rocksteady, they become Rocksteady Sony or Sony Rocksteady.
Yeah.
And I get to what you're saying is like I get the Batman Arkham IP for the next 11 years.
And then you could do whatever you want with that IP. Like, would it be that loose?
Okay, Insomniac, make me a Batman game with the 90s cartoon vibe.
No, like, I wonder if that would be feasible. This comes down to like, and we'll only touch video games. But like, I'm trying to find like homes for each of these studios based on this. Obviously, the only ones I'm scared about is like, I don't know what the fuck PUBG Corp would do with any of these franchises. Or studios. But like, you have Hogwarts
Battle Royale Harry Potter with wands.
Which is a thing already.
Yeah, I know. Spellbound. Sorry.
Spellbound. But that game would get crushed if Harry Potter actually came out with it. Or it got relicensed. Hogwarts Legacies with Avalanche Studio. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor is with Monolith. Mortal Kombat is with Netherrealm. Batman is with Rocksteady. And then you have like
Suicide Squad's with Rocksteady, right?
Yeah, Suicide Squad's with Rocksteady.
Yeah.
You have TT Games, which is the Lego company, basically, or the Lego game creators.
They're part of Warner's? Yeah, they are. I guess.
Yeah, and then you have Montreal, Boston, New York, San Diego, San Francisco, which are just like the auxiliary studios. But also we're making Gotham Knights. So there's a couple studios. I don't know perfect homes for all of this. I'm kind of scared of EA getting their hands on any of these licenses, to be fair. And I think Microsoft probably can't touch any of these studios right now with all the Activision thing. I didn't put it in the news, but Activision's being sued by the state of New York, and like 3 other like corporations and states. Sony
is gonna Activision. So.
Yeah. So there's a ton of like possibilities. Tencent and NetEase are, we always talk about like, we don't know what they're doing with the companies they acquire, but they seem to get out of their way. Probably would be the short-term safe picks, but also we don't know what those companies' intentions are long-term. But yeah, and Take-Two definitely could use some IP and some studios because they really are kind of a one-trick pony currently with Rockstar, but I guess they got the basketball license as well. So,
so like only because everybody knows that I would love Rocksteady to make a Ninja Turtles game. It got me thinking. Do you know who owns the Ninja Turtles IP?
It's Nickelodeon, so they just license it out to whoever, which is why .emu
Do you know how much
making
they
that one game.
paid for the Ninja Turtles IP?
It was like an absurdly low amount of money that Nickelodeon
60 mil.
paid.
So.
Yeah. Because that was that Netflix show talked about when they showed the comic creators sold TMNT.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would close the door on that potentially from happening. Yeah, so
it's not gonna happen anyways. But
yeah, I assume because this is out there, we will start to see by the end of this year these studios being kind of sold, because it also sounds like Warner Brothers Discovery is kind of desperate. Like, I don't think they realized the troubles they were in when they bought it from AT&T or when they like got spun off from AT&T. But that is it for the news.
All right. So it does not appear that anything has been delayed this week, so that's always good. So what we're playing and watching. So I was still watching some more Superman and Lois on CW. I don't really like how that app functions. I get it free.
Seed?
The
or whatever.
CW.
Yeah, the CW app was trash.
Yeah, so but that's neither here nor there. They also like take episodes away after a certain amount of time, which I think is kind of crappy. Especially when that's really the only place you can get it. They do have that deal with Netflix on some of their shows that once the season finale airs, it goes to Netflix like the next week. So we'll see where we're at with that. But as many of you know, I traveled down to Kentucky this weekend to attend my son's college graduation. So he did graduate from college. And so before we left, Angela graciously purchased MLB The Show on Switch. So first of all, I had to put the Switch in airplane mode because
Why?
MLB The Show constantly wants to connect to the internet.
That sucks.
Constantly. So it was running. I was actually very concerned at first. It was running like trash until I put it in airplane mode, and then it started going really smooth. It did, however, when I came home today, connected to Wi-Fi and booted it up again, it did know what I had done. So it didn't lose any of that. I earned some stubs. I did, earned a couple unlocks as I leveled my character up on the road to the show. It did all that stuff. Like, it picked it right back up. So I was a little worried about that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really care. It surprisingly runs really, 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 really well.
Okay.
I wasn't there. I did not see any latency. Like my oldest son, he plays it on PlayStation. He has it on his PS5, and he was at the hotel. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm playing MLB on the Switch." And he's like, "Eh." And I'm like, "No, this is great." And he goes, "Yeah, but it doesn't look as good." I go, "I played it in the car for 4 hours straight while your mom drove." But
it doesn't look great,
"You
but it
can't
runs."
do that.
Yeah.
I go, "You couldn't do that." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I guess that's a good point." So like, it works. And Road to the Show mode, perfect.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Especially if you just skip fielding and you're just doing I
haven't done any of that, but I wasn't running into any of those problems. Like the problems that I had that I incurred while playing MLB The Show was I was in a car and she hit a bump at the same time somebody's like throwing a pitch, but it surprisingly worked really well. It supports like the Switch supports it anyways. It supports the Split Pad Pro, the Hori Split Pad Pro that I have, so that my hands weren't getting cramped up or anything like that. Like it works. And I was doing it today, and I still wasn't really paying attention, but I had pardon the interruption on in the living room when I got home today, and I booted up the Switch and I was playing MLB The Show.
Look at you multitasking finally.
I don't know what happened in part of the interruption, but it's for the most part.
Do you have to listen to MLB The Show, or can you not listen to it?
You don't have to. No, okay. You sometimes it'll talk about your player a little bit, but
no, for some reason I found I need to kind of hear the game to actually do well on it. So when I play, I have one earbud in and then my headphones
I process information, for at least baseball information, pretty rapidly, just because I've been a baseball fan my entire life. So I can use the HUD on the screen, oh, there's 2 outs, there's a guy on first. Okay, if this ball gets hit to me, I'm already knowing it's the same process I think when I'm playing softball. Okay, we got winning run is on first. Okay, I don't care about the guy on second. That's all happening while I'm waiting for the ball to come to me. So I feel like I do that anyways, just playing MLB The Show. So the training stuff, the side stuff, I haven't really delved deep into MLB The Show recently over the last couple of years as much as I did this year. Was very nice. I didn't realize there's these small little mini games like box jumping and some of the fielding drills. Some of them you can just click, oh, I'm gonna do the T drill, and your character's contact versus left-handers just automatically goes up. Some of it is based on you physically doing the activity. The box jump was a timing button with the ZR and the LR buttons. At the same time. So that was cool. I really kind of enjoy it. They appear to have gotten rid of the pre-draft stuff in it. They've tried to streamline the process a little bit. But I like it. I'm flabbergasted that I'm playing an exclusive Sony game and I'm not going to play it on a Sony platform.
Yeah. You might never interact with this year's game.
I took a picture of it on my lap in the car of the Switch with the PlayStation logo on it and put it on Twitter and Facebook of what a weird gaming world I live in right now.
Yeah, that tripped me up when I was playing MLB last year on Xbox. Yeah. Just I'm playing on Xbox right now. It's weird.
I haven't full disclosure, I have not done any of the cross save stuff yet. I haven't I don't even think that I booted it up on Xbox yet, and I played on the Switch, made a brand new character. I'll test that stuff this week and see how that works. And just to see, but I don't hate it on the Switch, and it probably will be where I probably play it 80% of the time. So if you're on the fence about it, get it. If you look on the Facebook group, I know I've talked about it before and you've seen it before. A couple people asked the Hori Split Pad Pro. Like, I love it. Like, the Joy-Cons hurt my hands, especially playing in handheld mode. I love it. Owen started playing it this week too because he was mad that I took the Joy-Cons off. I was like, they're in my backpack. I can put them back on for you. Yesterday morning, I was like, so what do you like? How do you like the controller? She's like, it's fine, which is his way of saying that. So,
doesn't want to admit he was wrong for not liking it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's been the most part. I messed around with Destiny a little bit with the clan, doing a couple things. But waiting for that next season. Like we're 2 weeks out from the next season. They're doing one of their live events, the Guardian Games thing, which is like Hunters versus Titans versus Warlocks, and there's so much funky math with that now. Like, oh well, Warlocks haven't won at all. This is the third year of the event, so they get this kind of boost. But Titans are the least played class, so they get this kind of boost, and it's just I think they want one class to win every, like they just want it to go in some kind of rotation of every class winning at least once. So, but it is what it is. Watch some of the NBA playoffs, again at the hotel, just kind of hanging out. But other than that, it was just it was a pretty busy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, getting back today, just traveling down to Kentucky, and I get to go back in a month for a wedding.
Yeah.
All right, you don't have much, and then we'll go back to me again, right? You said you don't have much.
Okay. Mine's pretty basic. Like, I'm still playing that Vampire Battle Royale game a little bit, so I'm enjoying that. I just wish more people that I knew were playing it, but at the same time, it's a Battle Royale. I mean, there's trios, so I could potentially try that out. So I'm playing that, just like unlocking the free stuff that they give you if you don't have the Battle Pass or whatever the Season Pass is. So messing with that, MLB The Show is still kind of like my go-to thing right now. I'm I think 40 or 50 games into the season. I'm just doing franchise mode, just because I just wasn't feeling doing a Road to the Show stuff. They dropped 2K on Game Pass, and I hate saying I'm playing two sports games at the same time, but that's what I'm doing right now, just because nothing like single player has caught me. And I was looking at like indie releases, and no indie games have really like caught my attention right now. So doing that, a lot of family stuff kind of came up the last week or so, so I've been a little distracted there. But I did go see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. That'll be a bonus episode for us.
Yeah, that movie was fantastic. Absolutely loved that. It just like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's just like the director, like, you got to see a little bit of all of his previous work in this movie. Like, he started with the Evil Dead movies. You totally get that vibe. And obviously directed the original Spider-Man trilogy, so you get those vibes too. The soundtrack was really good. It's Danny Elfman. So it's just like a Sam Raimi, Danny Elfman superhero movie that's kind of scary at parts. Was just fantastic. Like, I'm probably going to see that movie again very soon. And it's just one of those things where I ended up going with like a group of like 5 friends. I forget how many people were there, but like just going there. And then after it, it's just me, Sarah, and like all of us were just out there up until like 1:30 in the morning outside the theater, just talking about what we just saw. Like, the movie ended at midnight and we were just in the parking lot talking, even though it was kind of cold and we were not in a great neighborhood to be doing that. So yeah. Though, oh my God, I was so mad. We went to a 9:30 show. 10 minutes into the movie, a baby was crying. Some horrible jerk. Why is
there a baby at the movies at 9:45 anyways?
Yes, at a 2-hour movie that is also basically a horror movie. Like, why? So that was a little annoying. But eventually the kids shut up, except when the movie got kind of scary at the end, then that kid was crying again. So saw that. Can't wait to talk about that with more people as they start to see it. So that is kind of it right now for what I've been playing and watching. I did play Flower because I was just like bored looking for something to play. So I was playing Flower this weekend.
Curry, he saw the Doctor Strange movie, the new MCU movie.
Yeah, the Multiverse of Madness. So I did play Flower on PS4. Yeah, I just had the feeling of playing Flower.
PS4 or 5?
Oh, on PS5, but it was the PS4 version of Flower because there's no native PS5 version of Flower. I forgot that game relies heavily on motion controls.
Yeah. I thought you could turn them off.
I couldn't figure out how to turn them off, so I just kind of played it with motion controls.
It's been a long time.
So I was just playing that. I've been really tempted to just like start using my PS3 again and then to start playing PS3 games again, but just I don't know, just trying to find like new stuff to play, but we're kind of in that drought right now. So there's not enough new big things out. And my Game Pass stuff is just giving me gaming paralysis where I just turn on a system and I have 30 games downloaded and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So tune in next week when I probably start Fallout 3 or something like really old for no reason.
All right. So real quick, I haven't got a ton of time with them, but I have gotten some with them. And these aren't dramatically different than what I've already been talking about. So everybody knows that I love the Turtle Beach Stealth 700 headset. So there is now a Turtle Beach Stealth 700 Generation 2 Max that's out. This has a 40+ hour battery life. It feels and looks and is constructed the same as the 700s, the previous 700s. The mic flipped down, but the interesting part about these now is they are multi-platform, and which they come with a USB dongle. So on the USB dongle, it has the ability to click it over to PS5 or to click it over to USB. So if you click it over to USB, you can plug it into your Xbox. I'm assuming even Xbox One, but you can plug it into your Series S, your Series X, your PC, and this is the part where I haven't fully tested yet. I was just kind of talking to Michael about it before we started recording. You can plug it into your Switch if it's docked. So and then you can obviously unplug it and click it over to PS5 and plug it into your PS5 USB, and it'll connect. It has this glasses friendly mode where you pop the ear cups off and you have like a little small bungee cord on the inside that you pull on and you can set it, and it actually kind of like brings the ear cups, it pinches the ear cups in a little bit to support your glasses frame. So it's not constantly pressuring on your glasses. Apparently the 700s have had them and I've just missed it, and like I would like this time I actually like went through the directions pretty close, and you can just
open
pop
up my 700s box.
Yeah, you can just pop the ear cup right off. And then, which it was a lot easier than I thought it was, and you can adjust it, pull on this thing and set it on different, like on a 1, 2, or 3 level, and then it'll pinch the ear cups in just a little bit to do that. I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference, but for some people, if I do have relatively thick glasses frames, so it's also I haven't had to recharge it. That's how much little time I've had with it, but it apparently can have a quick charge functionality where it's ready to go in like 15 minutes. Which is huge for me because I always forget to charge my stuff.
Yeah.
And then the part that I still need to test a little bit more is, I think in the Switch in handheld mode, it might connect only via Bluetooth because there's no USB port on the Switch in handheld mode. There's just a USB-C port.
Yeah.
So there's no, I think it's a USB, A, the fat one. Yeah. So, these are $200. And there's just a couple small like quality of life things that are a little bit better. Like, as dumb as this sounds, like turning the headset on and turning it off isn't as intrusive. It doesn't sound as loud. It's more subtle. It's more subtle tones and a more subtle voice where they're not like that. The woman's not like headset paired. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more toned down. There's a little bit more of a visual cue on the USB dongle if you're muted or not muted, so you can quickly look at that. And then it still supports like all the dual channel stuff, so you can connect it to your phone, so you can have your headphones on, you can answer a phone call. I haven't messed with it enough, so
okay, because that always drives me insane.
I don't know why if I used an A to C adapter, I don't know if that would work, but I also think that'd be annoying to stick out of the bottom of the Switch.
Who knows? It might work. You might need to test that. Yeah, I just always hated because I have the stealths, not that one, the other one, but the app. I hated using the app. But you kind of.
I haven't had to use the app yet.
Okay.
I do. I have. Turtle Beach has sent me a couple of things in the last week or so, or the last month or so, and I'm trying to get through some of them. Michael and I both have like the Scout Air, like their version of like AirPods.
Yeah.
SYN. And I thought they were Scouts.
No, they're Syn, SYN.
Okay.
Yes.
And I tried to link those to my Switch while I was traveling, and apparently they didn't have the most recent firmware on them, and the only way to get the correct firmware is to connect it to a PC, which is irritating. I feel like if my phone can Wi-Fi tell me I need a new a software update, I would hope that I just wish these headphones could do it. Even if it's through the app, where it's like you open up the app and it says keep the headphones close and they'll connect. Getting the firmware from Turtle Beach is not hard, but you have to like plug them in to your PC to get the firmware downloaded. So like that's always been an irritating thing, and I don't feel like they have a good way of delivering, hey, we have a new firmware for you, especially if you're a console gamer. Like there's nothing that tells you that, like there's no pop-up on the screen like it does for your PlayStation controller or your Xbox controller. It says download the new firmware.
Oh, you have the Scouts, I have the Syns. We have two different ones.
I didn't know that. So but other than that, I really like these headphones. The extra battery life is significant. Like I said, I haven't had to charge them yet. They're out now. They came out yesterday. So I will try to tweet some pictures of them this week. They don't really look that different, but I'll tweet a picture of like the dongle and stuff. And I'll put it in the Facebook group as well. But I really like these headphones. I need to test the connectivity to the phone a little bit more, and then I'll probably try to do some kind of like video review of these separately. So
yeah, I'll probably review we'll do a comparison next week between the Syns and the Scouts.
Now I gotta go look at what the difference is. I didn't know you got a different one.
Yeah, I have Syn, and they do have Rocat Scouts. So you might have gotten the Scouts, and I got the Syns.
You got Rocat. I got Turtle Beach.
Yeah. See, I got Rocat.
Okay.
So yeah.
What color are your earbuds?
These guys, black.
Okay, yeah, that's really weird.
I'm afraid to open them because then they're gonna turn my phone on. So
yeah. All right. So we'll go to questions really quick. So questions and comments. I think we only have one using hashtag AskDigitalDays. So Stefan, as always, has some random thing that's on his mind. If you were alone in the house for the weekend, yeah, right. What would be the perfect weekend? What would the perfect weekend consist of? Beer, sports, gaming, pizza, etc. So go ahead, Michael.
So I think you would probably have a more interesting answer, just because, like, I don't know, me and Sarah already just can do video game days where she'll just be on the PlayStation, I'll be on the Xbox, and we just order pizza on the weekends since we're both off on the weekends. So I feel like it's harder for you to have like the setup because, you like Owen and, you have multiple kids in your house. So mine is just like, I'm going to put the headphones on and play a game. And she's
Michael's is like every weekend.
because it's just like she'll be like, I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'm like, cool, I'm playing Fallout. And then we'll just put the headphones on and we'll be like 5 hours later, be like, you want pizza? Yeah. And then we'll just order pizza, so like we already kind of do whatever we want on the weekends, just together and separately at the same time. So Dave, if you had that.
I actually don't like being alone. I don't get me wrong. I have like my random like weekdays off that I get, like a Tuesday off, a Wednesday off, or a Thursday off. Like Angela will go to work, Owen will go to school, Jonathan and Zoe aren't here. So it'll be like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like nobody's there. I tend to try to do certain things that I wouldn't even say that. That's when I try to watch things that I know Angela won't ever watch. Like she'll have no desire to watch them, or she's already mentally checked out from something. Like Superman and Lois, like she likes superhero stuff, and but she's like, nope, that show's not doing it for me. She doesn't watch, like I watch All American. She's like, nope, I'm good. So there's for the most part, but yeah. Sports are getting into a little bit of a weird state. Like football is top, and I can still remember like having like when there's NFL games like in London, and football starts at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and then there's like the 1 o'clock game, and then the 4 o'clock game, and then the Sunday night game. If we could like string together like 4 really good games, and not good matchups, like just that the games themselves were good, and that's so hard to predict. So, but like 4 games in a row that are great. Like when like some of these basketball games, like I was watching the end of that Celtics. Who are they playing?
Bucks.
I can't even. Yeah, the Celtics and the Milwaukee. Like I watched like the fourth quarter, like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, which is like an hour in NBA time or real time, and that was good. Like watching the end of that, seeing it go back and forth, seeing some of the foul calls. So like when it's compellingly entertaining sports, like that would be ideal. I don't have like. I'm a little different than Michael. Like I don't think I have anything that I could watch for 4 or 5 hours straight. Like I would like you would do like a good WrestleMania, like a good WrestleMania.
It's been very rare,
yeah. But even like during the Super Bowl, like I'm paying attention to the commercials, or I get up and I do something else, like while there's a football game going on, or I inadvertently like fall asleep.
See, and the thing is, like me, like the first round of NBA playoffs, there was like games from 12 to midnight, and I would watch most of them, but I was on my Switch. Or like I have 2 monitors set up.
I guess the ideal like sports thing for me is the opening round of the NCAA tournament, like that Thursday, Friday, when there's games on all day and there's tons of games.
And also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, your family knows like, oh, when there's new Destiny content,
yes,
leave you alone and just let him do this for the next whenever he passes out. you know. Because you've done 24 hours when there's been new content.
They've always been really supportive of that. So like I don't ever really like. I never have to like. I need a man day like that. I need a Dave day.
That's so
like,
cringe just hearing that.
Yeah, I don't need those. Like Angela's at a certain point in time where like she'll get to a point where she sees it and she'll be like like she'll tell me like. You need to go play video games. You need to go to the office, and she'll send me away. Like,
oh, but I could have secret sodas. That would be interesting.
So like that's really hard to answer, but I guess like food wise, it would be like it'd be like wings. And I'm not a big beer guy.
Mine would just be like a 12-pack of soda but I'm gonna feel like shit at the end of the day when I'm like, oh, I drank 3 today. Maybe a really disgusting deep dish pizza with like all the meats in it, maybe. But like even then, I kind of just like cheese pizza. So
I still don't even really have like a easy like go to food that like Angela won't eat either. Like some people. Like,
like the same here, where it's just like I like cheese pizza, so I'll just get cheese pizza. Yeah. It's delicious.
So like usually I can always deal with something, or Angela can always get something on it, but she would totally be content, for the record. Like she'd kick me out of the house and she would watch all the Lord of the Rings in a row. She did that while I had COVID.
It's a good time because then you can't leave and you can't go anywhere.
Well, she didn't have COVID. I had COVID.
No, I know. Like it's perfect.
I was stuck in the bedroom, and she was bumping the Lord of the Rings in the living room, like shaking the walls and everything.
See, and me and Sarah did the same thing, but we didn't have. We just wanted to do that. We just watched the extended cuts in one day. But that would have been fantastic if you had like fever dreams and you just wake up and you just see Frodo on your screen, go back down to sleep, and then you just wake up and be like, "What the fuck's happening?"
Yeah, well, she was in the other room.
Yeah,
but, I mean, she was like
missed opportunity.
She was like, she had it loud enough that I was like, "What in the heck?" And she's like, "Leave me alone." And I was like, "All right, whatever."
Dave would have just woke up, heard potato.
She would be totally, she'd be totally content with Lord of the Rings and like Narnia, like any of like the Narnia. Yeah,
yeah. It's just like those Narnia movies weren't great. The book's fantastic, but
But she's also the same person that she'll sit there if she could be uninterrupted and she didn't have to get up and it wouldn't mess with her hip or her back, she'd sit there and read a whole day. She would just take a series and read it the whole day. So, all right, I think that is our show. So you can follow us. Yep, that's all of it. So socials at Digital Days Pod. Oh, Sarah, please. Angela would totally sign up for that, and I'll send her to Chicago.
God! The only problem is I bought the 4K extended cuts. They're like 4.5 hours each.
Yeah, she was watching. I swear she was watching something on HBO Max. She must be asleep. She's not saying anything in chat. So
she's watching the movies right now. You're gonna get back out there and you're gonna hear songs from the Friar. I don't know what the Middle Earth.
She passed out. So
yeah. Oh God. I'm hearing the music.
We're already thinking about going to Chicago, so don't antagonize her. So at Digital Days Pod is the main Twitter account.
Shire. Jesus, I said Friar. God. I like interrupting Dave when he's trying to get this wrapped up too. So
at the first MJC is Michael's. At Good Dave Hunt is mine. Facebook group, Discord server are linked in the show notes. Patreon is there. Sarah's just roasting you.
Yeah.
Making it worse. So we are officially behind 2 months on bonus episodes.
We'll get those.
We're bad. We're
Yeah.
really bad. So please send us some suggestions for Patreon to help us motivate us and get our brains working a little bit more. I feel like a simple, easy cop out is Angela and I go see Doctor Strange, and then we do one for May for that. So
Yeah.
But Angela also recommends that maybe you and Sarah do a Final Fantasy episode.
We might have to, though. I'm so lost in Final Fantasy, but maybe.
Let her run the conversation.
Yeah, it would have to be.
So
I might just sit my friends down to do a Kingdom Hearts discussion, and it's going to be a mess.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think our Patreon subscribers would eat it up.
Yeah.
So Teesprings is there as well if you want some t-shirts for the summer. But other than that, I think that's it. So I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.